The shuttle moved slowly through the darkness of space. Inside, Taewon sat quietly near the window. He watched the stars pass by without saying much. His face was calm, but his mind was working. Today would decide everything for Earth. Next to him, young Mi checked her tablet again. She had read the same files 20 times already. Her fingers moved nervously across the screen. She looked at Taewon and wondered how he could be so relaxed. This meeting with the Galactic Council would change human history forever, and he looked like he was going to a normal business meeting. "Are you worried?" she asked him. Taewon turned from the window and smiled a little. "No, should I be?" "They don't like us," young Mi said. "The reports are clear. The Valorians think we're primitive. They think Earth is just a backwater planet with nothing special to offer." "Let them think that," Taewon replied. He stretched his arms above his head and cracked his knuckles. "Sometimes it's better when people underestimate you." The shuttle began to slow down. Through the front window they could see Pinnacle 7. The space station was massive, floating like a silver wheel against the black void. Lights blinked along its surface. Ships from dozens of different worlds were docked at various ports. This was the center of galactic power, where all the important decisions were made. Young Mi felt her stomach tighten. She had studied alien biology for 15 years. She knew more about the council species than most humans alive. But knowing facts and actually meeting these beings face to face were two different things. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The airlock hissed open. Taewon stood up and adjusted his suit. It was simple and black, nothing fancy. He didn't wear any medals or decorations, even though he had earned plenty during his military service. Young Mi had asked him about that once. He told her that medals were for impressing other humans. Today they needed to impress aliens, and aliens didn't care about human awards. They walked through the airlock into the station. The corridor was huge, built for species much larger than humans. The ceiling stretched up at least 5 meters high. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet that young Mi couldn't identify. A small floating robot approached them. It beeped twice and projected a hologram of a map. "Please follow the marked path to Council Chamber 7, it said in perfectly clear English. The voice sounded friendly but artificial. They walked for 10 minutes through the winding corridors. Other beings passed them in the halls. Some were tall and thin with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Others were short and covered in fur. One creature slithered past on dozens of small legs, its body segments clicking together as it moved. None of them paid much attention to the two humans. Young Mi noticed something as they walked. "The gravity feels lighter," she whispered to Taewon. He nodded. "About 70% of Earth normal. Makes sense. Most species evolved on lower gravity worlds than ours." Finally, they reached the council chamber. The doors were enormous, carved from some kind of dark stone with symbols that glowed when they approached. The doors slid open silently. The chamber inside took young Mi's breath away. It was circular and vast, with seats arranged in rising tiers all around the walls. In the center was a platform where visitors would stand to address the council. Above everything, a huge transparent dome showed the stars in the curve of a nearby planet. Most of the council seats were already filled. Young Mi recognized different species from her studies. The Aquarians sat in tanks of water that allowed them to breathe. The crystalline collective members looked like walking gemstones, their bodies reflecting light in rainbow patterns. The Verdani were plant-based beings, their bodies a mix of vines and leaves that moved slowly even when they sat still. But the largest section of seats belonged to the Valorians. They were the dominant power in the council, and everyone knew it. The Valorians were tall, at least 2.5 meters with long limbs and elegant features. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to glow slightly. They wore flowing robes that shifted colors as they moved. Everything about them screamed grace and superiority. In the highest seat sat Thelvor, the High Commander of the Valorian fleet. His robes were deep purple, marking his rank. His face was beautiful by any standard, with large eyes that seemed to look through rather than at things. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire chamber without seeming loud. "Humans of Earth," Thelvor said, "you have come to request full membership in the Galactic Council. This is a significant request. Full membership grants access to interstellar trade routes, defense treaties, and shared technology. It is not given lightly." Taewon walked to the center platform. Young Mi followed, staying a step behind him. She could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching them. "We understand the significance," Taewon said. His voice was steady. Earth has much to offer the Council. We bring new perspectives, unique resources, and a strong desire to join the galactic community as equals. A ripple of what might have been laughter went through some of the Council members. Thelvor's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes suggested amusement. Equals, Thelvor repeated. An interesting word. Tell me, human, what makes your species think they can stand equal with civilizations that mastered space travel while your people were still hitting rocks together? Young Mai felt anger flash through her, but Taewan's expression remained neutral. We don't claim to be technologically superior, Taewan said. We're new to the galactic stage, but we're fast learners and we've survived challenges that would destroy weaker species. Survived, Thelvor said. He stood up from his seat. Even from that distance, his height was impressive. That brings me to our concern. You see, the Council has studied your world. Your planet is rated as hazardous on our habitability scales, yet you claim this harsh environment makes you strong. We find this claim unquestionable. Questionable? Taewan asked. Your species appears fragile. You have no natural armor, no venomous defenses. You are not particularly fast or strong compared to predator species on other worlds. You are frankly unimpressive from a biological standpoint. Young Mai wanted to argue, to pull out the hundreds of files she had on human capabilities, but she stayed quiet. This was Taewan's moment. Is there a point to this evaluation? Taewan asked calmly. Thelvor smiled. It was not a kind smile. Indeed. The Council has decided that before we grant membership, we must verify your claims of resilience. We propose a simple test. The word test hung in the air. Young Mi didn't like the way Thelvor said it. What kind of test? Taewan asked. Thelvor gestured and a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a large circular arena with transparent walls. The combat arena on Deck 9. Many species have tested their warriors there over the centuries. We would like you to spend 1 hour in that arena. Just 1 hour? Taewan asked. That seems easy. But there is one additional factor, Thelvor said. His smile grew wider. The arena will be set to standard Valorian gravity. That is approximately 2.3 times the gravity of your Earth. Most species find it difficult to even stand under such conditions, let alone move for a full hour. The Council chamber went silent. Every being present understood what this meant. This was not a test. This was a setup designed to humiliate the human in front of everyone. It would be impossible for someone from a 1-gravity world to function properly at 2.3 G. They would collapse, struggle to breathe, maybe even pass out. Young Mi's heart sank. This was exactly what they had feared. The Council, or at least the Valorians, had no intention of accepting Earth as an equal. They wanted to prove humanity was weak and unworthy. She looked at Taewan, expecting to see anger or worry. But instead she saw something that confused her. The corners of his mouth were turning up slightly. He was trying not to smile. 1 hour in 2.3 G gravity, Taewan said slowly. And if I complete this test, Earth gets full Council membership? Thelvor hesitated for just a moment. He had expected the human to refuse or to ask for different terms. Yes, if you survive the hour without medical intervention, we will grant your request. Then I accept, Taewan said immediately. The Council chamber erupted in surprised sounds. Various species made noises of shock, curiosity, or what might have been approval. Thelvor's smile faded slightly. He had expected fear, not acceptance. You understand what you are agreeing to? Thelvor asked. Perfectly, Taewan replied. That small smile was still on his face. When do we begin? Young Mi understood now why Taewan was smiling. She almost laughed out loud. The Valorians had made a mistake. They had designed a test based on their own weaknesses, assuming all species were like them. They had no idea what humans were really capable of. This was going to be interesting. The walk to Deck 9 took 15 minutes. Taewan moved through the corridors like he was taking a casual stroll. Young Mi walked beside him, carrying her tablet and trying not to look nervous. Behind them, a floating camera drone followed, broadcasting everything to the Council chamber and beyond. Apparently this test had become quite the entertainment event across the station. You know they expect you to fail, Young Mi said quietly. I know, Taewan replied. They think this is impossible. I know that too. Taewan, are you absolutely sure about this? 2.3 G is serious. That's more than twice what our body normally handles. Taewan stopped walking and looked at her. His expression was kind but confident. "Young me, trust me. I've trained for worse than this." "Much worse." She wanted to ask what he meant, but they had reached the arena entrance. A group of aliens stood waiting. Most of them were Valorian guards, tall and imposing in their ceremonial armor. One of them held out a simple gray training suit. "You will wear this," the guard said. "No technology. No enhancements. Only you and gravity." Taewon took the suit and examined it. It was plain, made of some stretchy material that would move with his body. "Where can I change?" They directed him to a small room off to the side. While he changed, Youngmi found herself surrounded by curious aliens. Some were council members who had come to watch in person. Others were station residents who had heard about the test and wanted to see what would happen. An aquarium floated closer in its mobile water tank. The being looked like a mix between a fish and a squid, with intelligent eyes that studied Youngmi carefully. "Your companion is brave," it said through a translator device. "Or foolish. Which do you think?" "Brave," Youngmi said firmly. "Definitely brave." The last being to attempt the Valorian gravity test was a Krell warrior, another alien added. This one was covered in thick fur and had 6 legs. It lasted 12 minutes before its bones started to crack. Very painful, very embarrassing. Youngmi felt a chill run through her. She knew Taewon was strong but broken bones. She pushed the worry down. Taewon had accepted this challenge for a reason. She had to trust him. Taewon emerged from the changing room wearing the gray suit. It fit him well, showing his lean but muscular build. He had been a special forces operator for 10 years before becoming a diplomat. His body was a tool he had sharpened through countless hours of brutal training. "Ready?" asked the Valorian guard. "Ready," Taewon confirmed. The arena doors opened. The space beyond was enormous, at least 50 meters across and 20 meters high. The floor was smooth and dark. The walls were completely transparent, allowing viewers to see everything from all angles. Above the arena, viewing platforms had already filled with spectators. Youngmi could see hundreds of different species gathering to watch. In the center of the arena, a single chair sat under a bright light. It looked almost like an interrogation setup. "You may enter." Thelvor's voice came through speakers built into the walls. "When you are ready, we will activate the gravity field. Remember, 1 hour. If you need to stop before then, simply call out and we will end the test. Of course, Earth's application will be denied." Taewon walked into the arena. His steps were confident, almost relaxed. He looked up at the viewing platforms and gave a small wave. Some of the aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Youngmi rushed to the nearest viewing platform. She found a spot at the front, pressing her hands against the transparent wall. Her heart was beating fast. This was really happening. Taewon reached the center of the arena. He didn't sit in the chair. Instead, he stood next to it and looked directly at where Thelvor was watching from the highest platform. "I'm ready," he called out. "Let's begin." "Very well," Thelvor said. Youngmi could hear satisfaction in his voice. "Activating gravity field." Setting to 2G as a preliminary level, Youngmi held her breath. She watched Taewon carefully for any sign of distress. The gravity doubled from the station's standard 0.7G to 1.4G. For most aliens watching, this was already uncomfortable. They shifted in their seats, feeling the increased weight on their bodies, but Taewon? He didn't even blink. He stretched his arms above his head, rolling his shoulders like he was warming up for a workout. Then he started walking around the arena perimeter at a steady pace. The viewing platforms went completely silent. Every being present had expected to see the human collapse immediately, or at least struggle to move. Instead, he was walking like nothing had changed. Youngmi wanted to cheer but kept quiet. She knew the real test was still coming. Taewon completed one full circuit of the arena, then another. On his third lap, he started jogging. Not running, just a light jog like someone might do in a park on a nice day. "This is impossible," someone near Youngmi muttered. 2G should be crushing him. Youngmi smiled to herself. If they thought this was impressive, they were in for a real surprise. On the highest platform, Thelvor leaned forward in his seat. His elegant face showed confusion and something else. Maybe concern. He had designed this test to be impossible, and the human was treating it like a casual exercise session. "Increase to 2.3G, Thelvor ordered. "Full Valorian standard." The technician operating the gravity controls hesitated. "High Commander, that is a significant jump. Perhaps we should increase gradually?" Now, Thelver commanded. The gravity field intensified. Young Mai felt it even through the arena walls. The air seemed to become heavier. On the viewing platform, several aliens sat down or adjusted their positions to handle the increased weight. Inside the arena, Taewon stumbled slightly as the gravity increased. For the first time, he showed some reaction. His posture changed, becoming more grounded and stable. The easy, relaxed movement was gone. There, Thelvor said with satisfaction. Now he feels it, but Taewon didn't fall. He didn't call out for help. He adjusted his stance, bent his knees slightly, and continued moving. His pace was slower now, more deliberate, but he was still moving. He walked to the center of the arena and got down on the floor. Young Mi's heart jumped. Was he giving up already? But no. He positioned his hands on the ground, extended his legs behind him, and started doing push-ups. The viewing platforms erupted in shocked sounds. Species from a dozen different worlds made noises of disbelief. Push-ups. The human was doing push-ups in 2.3 G gravity. 1, 2, 3. Taewon counted each one out loud. His voice was strained now, showing the effort, but he kept going. 4, 5, 6. An elderly Aquarian floated closer to young Mi. She recognized him from her briefing files. This was Ji-hwan, one of the oldest and wisest members of the council. He had been alive for over 300 years and had seen countless species join the galactic community. Remarkable, Ji-hwan said softly. I have never seen anything like this. Young Mi decided this was her moment. High Counselor Ji-hwan, may I explain what you're witnessing? The old being turned its attention to her. Please do. I am most curious. Young Mi pulled up a file on her tablet and projected it into the air between them. It showed a comparison chart of different planets and their gravity levels. Earth has a gravity of 1G, she began. That might not sound like much, but look at these other homeworlds. She pointed to various entries. The Valorian homeworld is 2.3G, yes, but Valorians evolved there. Their bodies are built for that specific gravity. Most other council species come from worlds with 0.6 to 0.8G. Earth's gravity is actually on the higher end of the habitable range. But the Valorians are stronger, someone nearby argued. They can handle higher gravity, can they? Young Mai asked. She pulled up another chart. This shows performance in variable gravity. Yes, Valorians function perfectly at 2.3G because that's their home environment. But at 1G, they're actually weaker than humans. Their muscles and bones are optimized for higher gravity, which means in lower gravity, they have less practical strength. She looked back at Taewon, who had finished 20 push-ups and was now doing squats. Humans evolved at 1G, that's our baseline. But we didn't just adapt to survive gravity. We adapted to excel in it. Our bones are incredibly dense. Our muscles are efficient. Our cardiovascular system is designed to pump blood against gravitational force every moment of every day. Ji-hwan's eyes widened in understanding. So when you increase gravity beyond his norm, he struggles, yes, Young Mi confirmed. But not as much as you'd think. You see, humans have been training in increased gravity for decades. Our fighter pilots experience 4 to 9G during combat maneuvers. We've built centrifuges that can simulate extreme gravity for training purposes. Taewon specifically? He trained for years in high-G environments as part of his special forces preparation. She pulled up another file, this one showing human physiology. Our species are persistence hunters. Back on Earth, before we developed advanced technology, humans would literally chase prey animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. We would run for hours, sometimes days, tracking wounded animals across vast distances. Our bodies are built for endurance like very few other species. Another alien joined the conversation. This one was Valorian, a junior council member named Rel Shen. But we tested other species in this arena. They all failed quickly. Taewon sat perfectly still in the center of the arena. His breathing was deep and controlled. In and out, slow and steady. The crushing weight of 2.3G pressed down on every part of his body. But he had learned long ago how to manage this kind of stress. The key was not to fight it. The key was to work with it. On the viewing platforms, more aliens were arriving every minute. Word had spread throughout Pinnacle 7 that something unusual was happening in the combat arena. Species from every corner of the galaxy gathered to watch the human who refused to break. Young Mi found herself surrounded by curious beings asking questions. She had become an unofficial spokesperson, and she decided to use this opportunity. If Earth wanted to join the Council as equals, then the Council needed to understand what humans really were. Tell us about your planet, Ji-hwan requested. The old Aquarian had moved his water tank closer to young Mi. Several other Council members gathered around as well. You say Earth made your species this way, how? Young Mi took a breath and organized her thoughts. This was important. Earth is not a kind world, she began. In galactic terms, it's classified as a Class 9 hazard world. Do you know what that means? Most of the aliens shook their heads or made negative gestures. It means Earth is on the edge of being uninhabitable, young Mi explained. The galactic standard for a safe, comfortable world is Class 1 through 3. Most of your homeworlds fall into that range. Earth is Class 9. Only 2 classes exist above that, and those are worlds where life shouldn't exist at all. She pulled up an image of Earth on her tablet and projected it large enough for everyone nearby to see. The blue and white sphere rotated slowly, looking peaceful and beautiful. It looks lovely, Reltion said. Surely you exaggerate. Do I? Young Mi asked. She zoomed in on the image, showing closer views of Earth's surface. Let me tell you about Earth. 70% of the surface is covered in water. But not pure water. It's salt water, full of dissolved minerals that make it toxic to drink. Most species would die of thirst on a world that's mostly liquid. She changed the image to show a massive storm system. Our weather is violent. Wind speeds regularly exceed 300 kilometers per hour in storms we call hurricanes. These storms are so powerful they can destroy entire cities. They happen every year. Another image appeared showing red lava flowing from a mountain. Earth's crust is broken into plates that constantly move and grind against each other. This creates earthquakes that can level buildings in seconds. It creates volcanoes that explode with the force of nuclear weapons. The entire surface of our world is unstable. The gathered aliens were starting to look uncomfortable. Some shifted in their seats. Others made worried sounds. Young Mike continued. Temperature ranges on Earth are extreme. In some places, water freezes solid for months at a time. In other places, the heat is so intense that being outside can kill you in hours. Humans live in both environments. We've adapted to survive everywhere from frozen wastelands to burning deserts. But what about the gravity? Someone asked. You keep saying Earth's gravity shaped you. Gravity was part of it, young Mi agreed. But it was only one factor among many. You see, Earth didn't just give us high gravity. It gave us competition. She changed the display again. This time it showed various Earth animals. A lion, a bear, a crocodile, a shark. Each image lingered for a moment before moving to the next. These are some of Earth's predators, young Mi said quietly. Each one of them can kill a human easily in direct combat. They're faster than us, stronger than us. They have claws and teeth and natural weapons that we don't possess, and humans evolved alongside these creatures. The viewing platform had gone very quiet. Even the background noise of the arena system seemed muted. So how did you survive? Ji-hwan asked. If you were weaker than your predators, how did your species persist? Young Mi smiled. That's the important question. We survived through endurance, intelligence, and cooperation. Let me tell you about persistence hunting. She pulled up a video file. It showed a group of human hunters in a desert environment. They wore simple clothes and carried basic tools. In the distance, an antelope grazed peacefully. Watch, young Mi said. The video played. The hunters began to jog toward the antelope. The animal saw them coming and ran away easily, disappearing in seconds. It was clearly faster than the humans, but the humans didn't stop. They kept jogging. They followed the tracks the antelope left behind. After a few minutes, they found the animal again, resting in shade. The antelope ran again. The humans followed again. This pattern repeated over and over. The antelope would sprint away using its superior speed. Then it would have to stop and rest, breathing hard. The humans would catch up at their steady jog. The antelope would run again. The humans would follow again. This continued for 8 hours, young Mi narrated. Eventually, the antelope collapsed from heat exhaustion. It had sprinted dozens of times, each sprint depleting its energy. The humans, meanwhile, never stopped jogging. They paced themselves. They sweated to stay cool while the antelope overheated. They shared water and encouraged each other. When the antelope finally fell, the humans were tired, yes, but they were still functional. The video ended. The aliens stared at the screen in silence. That's horrifying, Reltion said finally. You hunted by simply not stopping. Exactly, young Mi confirmed. Most predators on Earth are sprinters. They're built for explosive speed and power. But humans are built for endurance. We can run slowly for hours or even days. Very few animals can match that. So our ancestors would literally chase prey until it died of exhaustion. No wonder your species developed such cardiovascular strength, Jihuan observed. This kind of hunting would require exceptional stamina. It required more than stamina, Youngmi said. It required teamwork. Humans are pack hunters. We coordinate. We communicate. We share the burden. One human might be impressive, but humans working together are much more dangerous. She looked down at Tae-Wan in the arena. He was still sitting in meditation, conserving his energy. Tae-Wan is strong alone. But he's not here alone. I'm here to support him with information and knowledge. Back on Earth, there's an entire team that helped prepare him for this mission. That's how humans work. We're stronger together. An alien young me didn't recognize spoke up. It looked like a walking crystal, its body reflecting the light in beautiful patterns. But this was all in your primitive past, yes? Surely modern humans don't hunt like this anymore. You're right, we don't, young me agreed. But our bodies still carry those adaptations. Evolution doesn't reverse itself quickly. Modern humans might live in cities and use technology, but our physical capabilities remain. We can still run for hours if needed. We can still endure harsh conditions. The hunting lifestyle shaped our biology, and that biology is still with us. She pulled up a new image. This one showed a human soldier carrying another soldier on his back while running. Human military training often includes carrying wounded companions for long distances. This isn't common in galactic armies, is it? Several aliens shook their heads. Most species would use transport or medical drones, one explained. Humans do too, Youngmi said. But we can also carry our wounded ourselves if necessary. A trained soldier can carry another person of equal weight for several kilometers before needing serious rest. This ability comes from those same evolutionary adaptations. Inside the arena, Tae-Wan opened his eyes and checked his watch. Then he stood up slowly, adjusting to the increased gravity again. He began a new set of exercises, this time doing lunges across the arena floor. 32 minutes remaining, the technician announced. Young Me noticed that the viewing platforms were now completely packed. Beings stood shoulder to shoulder, or whatever their equivalent was. Some hung from the ceiling on specialized perches. Others floated in the air. Everyone wanted to witness this. On the highest platform, Thelvor sat alone. His advisors had moved away, perhaps sensing his dark mood. The High Commander watched Tae-Wan with an expression that was difficult to read. Was it anger? Shame? Respect? Maybe all three. Your species fascinates me, Jihuan said to young me. You come from a world that should have destroyed you. Instead, it forged you into something remarkable. But tell me, does this make humans violent? Are you all warriors? Young me shook her head firmly. No, humans value peace just as much as any species. Yes, we can fight when necessary. Yes, we have military capability. But we also have art, music, philosophy, love. We build families and communities. We create beauty. We explore the universe not to conquer it, but to understand it. She pulled up images of human achievements. The Great Wall, the pyramids, the International Space Station, paintings and sculptures from thousands of years of human history. We're not perfect, Young Me continued. We have conflicts among ourselves. We make mistakes. But we learn, we adapt. That's what we do best. Whether it's adapting to Earth's harsh environment or adapting to new ideas and cultures, humans find a way. And you want to join us as equals, Jihuan said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Young Me replied. We don't want to be seen as primitive or weak. We're different from you, but that's our strength. We bring unique perspectives and capabilities. In a galaxy of diverse species, we believe. The timer showed 15 minutes remaining. Tae-Wan had been in the arena for 45 minutes under crushing gravity, and he showed no signs of failing. If anything, he seemed more confident now than when he started. He moved around the space with controlled movements, demonstrating techniques that looked like martial arts forms. On the highest platform, Thelvor's hands gripped the armrests of his seat so tightly that his knuckles turned pale. Young Me watched him from her seat nearby. She could see the calculation happening behind those intelligent eyes. The High Commander was realizing that his perfect plan was falling apart. Below them, the viewing platforms buzzed with excited conversation. What had started as entertainment, as a chance to watch a primitive human fail, had transformed into something else entirely. The crowd was engaged now. Some were even cheering when Taewan completed a particularly impressive movement. "This isn't right," Thelvor said suddenly. He stood up from his seat. The test parameters were incorrect. Young Mi felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean?" Thelvor activated his communication device. "Control, this is High Commander Thelvor. Increase arena gravity to 3G. The viewing platforms went silent. Every being present understood what had just happened. 3G was beyond what any council species could handle. It was beyond the agreed test parameters. This was no longer about testing humanity's worthiness. This was about Valorian pride. Young Mi jumped to her feet. "You can't do that. The agreement was for 2.3G. Changing the parameters mid-test violates your own protocols. The protocols serve at my discretion," Thelvor replied coldly. "If the test is too easy, it proves nothing. We need to find this human's limits." Down on another viewing platform, young Mi could see Dongjun, the security officer from Earth's delegation. He was shouting into his communicator, protesting the change. Several other council members were arguing as well, their voices rising in various languages. But the control room was already implementing Thelvor's order. The technician's voice came through the arena speakers, though it sounded reluctant. "Attention. Gravity will be increased to 3G. Please brace yourself." Inside the arena, Taewan stopped moving. He looked up at the viewing platforms, searching. His eyes found young Mi, and she saw something pass across his face. Not fear, not anger, just a moment of acknowledgement that the situation had changed. He took a wide stance, lowered his center of gravity, and nodded once. The gravity increased. Young Mi could feel it even through the protective barriers. The air seemed to thicken. Several aliens on the viewing platforms cried out in discomfort, even though they weren't inside the arena itself. The gravity field was so strong now that it was affecting the surrounding areas. Taewan's knees bent further. His whole body compressed under the weight. For the first time, he looked like he was really struggling. Sweat appeared on his forehead. His breathing became visible, chest rising and falling with effort. "There," Thelvor said with satisfaction. "Now we see the truth." But Taewan didn't fall. He adjusted his stance, widened his base, and remained standing. Movement was difficult now. That was obvious. When he took a step, it was slow and deliberate, like walking through deep water. But he was still moving. Young Mi's hands were shaking. This was dangerous. 3G was entering the range where human bodies could start experiencing serious problems. Blood pooling, difficulty breathing, extreme fatigue. Taewan was tough, but he wasn't invincible. "You're going to hurt him," she said to Thelvor. "This proves nothing except that you're afraid of losing." Thelvor spun to face her. "Afraid? I'm not afraid of primitives from a backwater world." "Then why change the test?" Young Mi challenged. "He was completing your challenge exactly as agreed. The only reason to change parameters is if you're scared of the outcome." For a moment, Thelvor looked like he might strike her, but they were in public view, with hundreds of witnesses. Instead, he turned away, breathing hard. In the arena, Taewan had made his way to the center and sat down. Not in defeat, young Mi realized, but deliberately. He crossed his legs in a meditation pose again, but this time his posture was different. His back was straight, but his shoulders were lowered. His hands rested on his knees. His eyes closed. "What is he doing now?" Relshin asked from somewhere below. Young Mi watched carefully. She recognized this. He's using controlled breathing techniques. Military pilots learn this for high-G maneuvers. It helps manage blood pressure and oxygen flow. It was true. Taewan's chest rose and fell in a specific rhythm. 5 seconds in. Hold for 2. 7 seconds out. Hold for 2. Repeat. This pattern was designed to keep blood circulating properly even when gravity tried to pull it all down to the legs. "Human pilots," Ji-Hwan said thoughtfully. He had floated his water tank to the upper platform to observe more closely. "You mentioned this before. They train for high gravity?" "Yes," Young Mi confirmed. She pulled up files on her tablet, projecting them for others to see. "Human fighter jets can perform maneuvers that create 4 to 9G of force. Our pilots train in centrifuges that spin rapidly, simulating these forces. They practice staying conscious and functional under extreme conditions." The images showed human pilots in flight suits, their faces distorted by G-forces during training. They showed centrifuge machines spinning at incredible speeds. They showed the aftermath with pilots looking exhausted but successful. 9G, an alien breathed. That should kill most biological beings. It can kill humans too if we're not prepared, Young Mi admitted. But with proper training and equipment, human pilots regularly experience 6 to 7G during combat flight. Tae-Wan specifically trained for this kind of stress during his military service. She looked at Thelvor. You didn't just challenge a random human diplomat. You challenged someone who spent 10 years in special forces, someone who has trained his body to function under extreme conditions, someone who has jumped out of aircraft, dived to ocean depths and survived in hostile environments. You picked exactly the wrong human to try to humiliate. Thelvor's expression was difficult to read. He looked at Tae-Wan sitting peacefully in meditation, then at the timer. 12 minutes remain, he said quietly. At the new parameters that you illegally changed, Dongjun's voice came through the communication system. He had apparently gotten through to the command channel. Hi, Commander. I am formally protesting this test modification. Earth's diplomatic team was not consulted. This violates Council protocols for membership evaluation. Your protest is noted, Thelvor replied mechanically. This is wrong, Ji-Hwan said. The old Aquarian moved his tank to float directly in front of Thelvor. You shame the Council with this behavior. The human was succeeding by the agreed terms. Changing those terms makes us appear weak and afraid. Other Council members began voicing their agreement. Not all of them, especially not the Valorians who remained loyal to Thelvor, but enough that the High Commander couldn't ignore it. The political damage was mounting. In the arena, Tae-Wan opened his eyes. He looked directly at Thelvor, and then he smiled. That same calm, confident smile from the beginning. Except now it meant something different. Now it said, I can handle whatever you throw at me. And then Tae-Wan began to move again. Not just sitting, moving. He shifted from his seated position to his hands and knees. Then, incredibly, he began doing push-ups in 3G gravity. Each one was slow, taking several seconds to complete. His arms shook with effort, but he did one, then two, then three. The viewing platforms erupted. Aliens made sounds of shock, disbelief, admiration, and fear. This shouldn't be possible. No being should be able to do this. Yet here was this human, this representative from Earth, defying physics itself through sheer determination and training. Young Mi felt tears in her eyes. She was so proud she could barely stand it. Tae-Wan wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for every human who had ever been dismissed as weak or primitive. He was showing the entire galaxy what Earth's children were made of. Stop this, someone said. Young Mi turned to see that it was Relshen, the junior Valorian council member. Please, High Commander. This has gone too far. The human has proven himself beyond any doubt. To continue is cruelty. He agreed to 1 hour, Thelvor said stubbornly. 10 minutes remain, but not at 3G, Relshen protested. You changed the terms to make him fail, and he still refuses to break. What more proof do you need? Tae-Wan finished his 5th push-up and collapsed flat on the arena floor. For a moment, everyone thought he had finally reached his limit, but then he rolled onto his back, breathing hard but conscious. He raised one hand and gave a thumbs up toward the viewing platforms. The crowd laughed. Actual laughter. Even some Valorians were chuckling at the human spirit. Here he was, crushed under 3 times his planet's gravity, exhausted beyond measure, and he was making jokes. Young Mi saw something change in Thelvor's face. The anger faded. The pride crumbled. What remained looked almost like shame. 8 minutes, the technician announced quietly. Tae-Wan lay on his back, chest heaving. He had stopped trying to move. The 3G was simply too much to fight against continuously. But he was still conscious, still aware, still succeeding by the only metric that mattered. He hadn't given up. Young Mi accessed the arena's environmental sensors through her tablet. Medical drones rushed into the arena as soon as the gravity normalized. They surrounded Tae-Wan with scanners and instruments checking for injuries. The human waved them away gently but firmly. I'm fine, he kept saying. Just tired. Young Mi made her way down from the upper platform as quickly as possible. By the time she reached the arena entrance, Dongjun was already there, looking worried and angry at the same time. That was insane, Dongjun said when he saw her.
3G?
They could have killed him. But they didn't, Young Mi replied. She was shaking, the adrenaline finally catching up to her. He made it. The arena doors opened and Tae-Wan walked out on his own power. He was drenched in sweat, his hair plastered to his forehead. His movements were stiff and careful, but he was walking and he was smiling. "Well," he said when he saw them, "that was interesting." Young Mai laughed. She couldn't help it. The tension of the past hour broke, and she laughed until tears ran down her face. Dongjun joined in, and even Taiwan chuckled tiredly. "You're insane," Young Mi told him. "Completely insane." "Maybe," Taiwan agreed. "But it worked, didn't it?" Before anyone could answer, a group of aliens approached. Leading them was Ji-Huan in his water tank, along with several other council members. Even Reltion was there, looking uncomfortable but determined. "That was an extraordinary display," Ji-Huan said. "I have lived for 300 years and witnessed countless species prove their worth to this council. But I have never seen anything quite like what you just did." "I just did what needed to be done," Taiwan replied humbly. "You did far more than that," Reltion said. "You showed us our own ignorance. The High Commander owes you an apology for changing the test parameters." "Will he give one?" Dongjun asked skeptically. "That remains to be seen," Ji-Huan replied. "But regardless of Thelvor's personal feelings, the Council has witnessed something significant today. The question now is what happens next." Taiwan leaned against the wall, and Young Mi realized just how exhausted he really was. The adrenaline was wearing off and his body was demanding rest. "He needs to recover," she said firmly. "Whatever discussions need to happen can wait." "Actually," Taiwan said, straightening up with visible effort, "I have a request." Everyone looked at him with surprise. "The test was conducted at higher than Earth gravity," Taiwan continued. "You saw how humans perform when conditions are harder than what we're used to. But I think it would be fair to show you how we perform in conditions that are easier." Ji-Huan's eyes widened with understanding. "You want to demonstrate your capabilities in lower gravity?" "Exactly," Taiwan confirmed. "If you'll permit it, I'd like to go back into that arena. But this time, keep the gravity at station standard. Point 7G. Let me show you what humans can do when we're not being crushed." Young Mi started to protest. "Taiwan, you need rest. You just spent an hour under extreme stress." "I need 30 minutes," he said. "Let me hydrate, stretch out, and change into fresh clothes. Then I'll show them something they won't forget." Reltion looked uncertain. "The arena is typically reserved for official tests, not demonstrations." "Then make it official," Taiwan replied. His eyes had that gleam again, that confidence that made Young Mi both nervous and excited. "The council wanted to see what humans are capable of. Let me show you the full picture." Ji-Huan floated forward slightly. "I will authorize this demonstration on one condition. You must not push yourself to injury. The point has already been made. No one questions human resilience anymore." "Deal," Taiwan agreed. The group dispersed to make arrangements. Young Mi grabbed Taiwan's arm and pulled him toward the recovery area. "You're going to explain to me what you're planning," she demanded. In the small recovery room, Taiwan drank 3 bottles of electrolyte solution and ate a protein bar from Earth. He stretched systematically, working through each muscle group. Young Mi watched him, seeing the years of military discipline in every movement. "During Special Forces training," Taiwan explained as he stretched, "we learned to fight in every environment. High gravity, low gravity, zero gravity, underwater, in thin atmosphere, in darkness. The military knows that space combat doesn't just happen in comfortable conditions. We need to be ready for anything." "So you trained in low gravity?" Young Mi asked. "Extensively," Taiwan confirmed. "Do you know what happens when you take a human who's trained their entire life at 1G and you put them in 0.7G? Young Mi thought about it. "You'd be stronger, faster. Your body is overbuilt for that environment." "Exactly," Taiwan said with a grin. "Those Valorians are so proud of their high-gravity world. But that means in standard station conditions, they're actually at a disadvantage. Their muscles are optimized for heavier gravity. In lighter gravity, all that extra muscle mass just makes them slower and less efficient. And humans? We're right in the middle," Taiwan said. "Earth gravity is high enough that we're strong and durable. But it's not so high that we're clumsy in lower gravity. We're adaptable." There was a knock on the door. A voice called out, "Your backup team has arrived from the ship." Taiwan's grin widened. Perfect timing. The door opened and 2 more humans entered. Young Mi recognized them from the delegation files. Hyun Woo was a combat instructor from Earth's Space Force, tall and lean with the graceful movement of a martial artist. Mary was a kinesiologist who specialized in human performance and variable gravity. She was shorter, stocky, with the build of a gymnast. Heard you had fun without us, Hyunwoo said dryly. Just a warm-up, Taewon replied. Ready for the real show? Always, Mei-ri said. She was bouncing on her toes, clearly excited. 0.7G, you said? This is going to be fun. They moved to the changing area and put on different training suits. These were more flexible than what Taewon had worn before, designed for maximum range of motion. When they emerged, the group looked professional and ready. The walk back to the arena felt different this time. Word had spread even further. The corridors were packed with aliens wanting to see what would happen next. Some of them cheered when they saw the humans. Others watched with curiosity or suspicion. But everyone was interested. The arena viewing platforms were even more crowded than before. It seemed like half the station's population had gathered. Young Mai found a spot at the front of the main platform and set up her equipment to record everything. The three humans entered the arena together. The gravity was set to standard station level 0.7G. For most species present, this was comfortable. For humans, it was about 30% lighter than home. Taewon, Hyunwoo, and Mei-ri stood in the center of the arena and bowed to the viewing platforms. Then they began. What followed was unlike anything the assembled aliens had ever witnessed. The three humans moved like they were dancing, but it was a dance of combat. They demonstrated techniques from various martial arts, adapted for low-gravity environments. Hyunwoo performed a spinning kick that carried him 3 meters through the air. In Earth gravity, such a move would be impressive. In 0.7G, it looked almost like flying. He landed smoothly and transitioned into a series of strikes so fast they blurred. Mei-ri demonstrated acrobatics that would be reckless at 1G, but were merely beautiful here. She did a backflip, then another, then 3 in sequence without pause. She twisted in the air, her body completely controlled. She made it look effortless. Taewon showed grappling techniques. He grabbed Hyunwoo and demonstrated how to use reduced gravity to your advantage. Where high gravity required you to fight against weight, low gravity let you redirect momentum more easily. A small push could send someone flying. A well-timed pull could bring them crashing down. They worked together, showing how humans fought as a team. They communicated with subtle gestures and verbal cues. When one person created an opening, the others exploited it. They demonstrated flanking, distraction, and coordination. Young Mai watched the alien spectators. Their expressions were fascinating. Many looked shocked. Some looked frightened. A few looked impressed and excited. But all of them were paying complete attention. Ji-hwan floated closer to Young Mi. They are holding back, he observed. What? Young Mi asked. Watch carefully, Ji-hwan said. Every movement is controlled. Precise. They are demonstrating technique, not maximum capability. They could move faster, strike harder. But they are showing us the principles, not trying to intimidate us, he was right. Young Mai realized that the three humans in the arena were performing at maybe 60% of their full capability. They were teachers giving a lesson, not warriors trying to dominate. After 10 minutes of basic demonstrations, they shifted to weapons. Hyunwoo produced a training staff from the equipment locker. In reduced gravity, the staff became an extension of his body, spinning and striking with incredible speed. He demonstrated how low gravity changed combat dynamics. Momentum was easier to build but harder to stop. Height advantages were amplified. Vertical space became as important as horizontal. Mei-ri took the staff next and showed a different style. Where Hyunwoo had been aggressive and powerful, Mei-ri was fluid and adaptive. She used the staff for balance as much as for striking, incorporating it into acrobatic movements that defied normal physics. Then Taewon took the staff, and his demonstration was the most educational of all. He showed defensive techniques, how to use low,